Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in and following our journey. It has been 2 years since we purchased our Akiya vacant house here in the countryside of Japan. And what I like to do in this video is go ahead and do a compilation of the entire renovation process. For those of you not familiar with our story, we purchased this house for 5 million yen or approximately 35,000 US dollars. We hired a local carpenter named Kayaki-san, and the name of his company is Asahi, to conduct the renovation. He did an absolutely great job, and it was a pleasure working with him. Just like many other houses throughout Japan, this house sat vacant for approximately 5 years. It is reported that there are approximately 8.5 to 10 million vacant houses throughout Japan due to the declining population throughout the country. The grounds around the house have been neglected for quite a while as well. It took my wife and I quite a bit of time and effort to go ahead and clean all the shrubs and the vines and everything that had been taken over the house and the trees in the Japanese garden. The previous owner's personal property still remained in the house, and we disposed of it ourselves. The total renovation cost was approximately 230,000 US dollars, and I understand this is on the higher end, but this also includes the casita or the guest house and some other features throughout the house, such as the double pane windows, the fireplace, and other features as well. We are hoping you enjoy our renovation journey and living in the countryside of Japan, and hopefully you learned something from it as well. Thanks a lot. We closed on the house August 2022, and the first task was to remove all the personal property in order for the carpenter to perform the renovation and clean around the front yard, backyard, and the Japanese garden. It was quite hot during that summer while my wife and I were working around the house, but it was also very pleasurable to see the progress as it came along and then just sitting outside and enjoying the view and quite frankly just feeling proud of ourselves for the progress that we had made thus far.
So we've been working on the house for 3 weekends, got it all emptied out for the builder, and we did a lot of yard work. It's August, so the builder came. We've been working on the blueprints. We kind of like what we see so far. We're gonna start construction and or renovations in November. That should take about 3 months. Looking forward to that.
To this day, I still cannot believe that my wife actually agreed to do such a crazy project because it was very difficult to see the end result. But hopefully by the end of this video, you get to see what we envisioned and how it all came together and why we absolutely love our house here in the countryside of Japan. Next, we consolidated all the personal property that we were going to dispose of, and I made multiple trips to various recycle centers throughout the city of Iwakuni to get rid of everything. The final cost to dispose of everything was approximately 500 US dollars utilizing my little K truck.
I'm at the recycle center right now. It's quite impressive operation they do here in Japan with all the recycling.
The renovation began in October of 2022 and it was projected to be completed by May of 2023. However, due to various delays, it was completed in July of 2023, and this is when we finally got to move into our beautiful, freshly renovated house in the countryside of Japan. Kayaki-san, our carpenter, was extremely flexible with us as we tried to keep the traditional Japanese features in the house, however, incorporate some modern and Western features in order to make it a very comfortable and enjoyable house to live in. Alright, so let's go ahead and begin with the living room. The living room, we wanted it to be an open concept. So in this area, there were several rooms. There was a hallway and a partition in the kitchen and also a small closet. We tore down as many walls as we possibly could, keeping the integrity of the house. And also, we tore down the false ceiling in order to expose the beautiful beams. We wanted to see the original woodwork of the house as much as we possibly could. But on the other hand, we also wanted to ensure that the house was insulated as much as we possibly could. Insulation was added under the new floors and along the ceiling. Additionally, we incurred the extra cost to go ahead and pour a concrete slab with a vapor barrier in order to preserve the house for many more years to come. Our main focus was to make the house as functional and practical as possible. My wife and I are now empty nesters. We wanted to ensure that every room had a purpose throughout the house, to include the living room and dining room area. These two huge logs were added in the dining room area because this is where we wanted the fireplace. But in order to accommodate the fireplace, we had to remove a load-bearing pillar. So Kayaki-san, our carpenter, came up with this very ingenious way of incorporating them within the house using Japanese traditional methods. It took them 8 hours to complete this task with a crew of four, and I lent a hand here and there, but not a whole lot, to tell you the truth. Throughout the entire house, there are wood floors. It is about an inch and a half thick. It is cedar and it is unfinished, therefore providing a beautiful smell even now, a year later. We wanted the floor to be even throughout the entire house in the event that, God forbid, that someday I am in a wheelchair or a walker or something like that and I could not maneuver around the house. By now, the wood floors have been completed, the double pane large windows have been installed, and the carpenters are preparing to start the ceiling and the shikui plaster, which is the traditional Japanese lime plaster. Another feature that I really wanted was to see the original woodwork throughout the entire house. So you will see throughout the house the old Japanese joinery style woodwork. We also debated quite a bit the look of the ceiling. We had the option of using wood or the shikui plaster. We did not want it to look too woody throughout the house, so ultimately we decided to go with a large portion of shikui and then just a strip around the living room with wood. Quite frankly, I actually like quite a bit the way it turned out. This X frame that you see right here is something that Kayaki-san added in order to provide further protection against earthquakes. These little horizontal boards that you see there, that was our idea. We asked him to add that in order to use it as a shelving system. I also asked the carpenter to leave the original nuts and bolts that were used throughout the house exposed. I really love the touch and feel of the unfinished wood floors. The only downfall is that cedar is very soft, so if you drop something, you are going to leave a nick in the floor. The entire house was rewired with a new electrical system in order to power all of our electronic devices. It has been a long dream of mine to have a house with a wood burning stove. We decided to buy a Quadra-Fire wood burning stove from a local company in Hatsukaichi near Hiroshima called Woodstock. They installed the entire system. It took them about 3 days to complete the entire project, but we are really happy with the results.
はい、持ってます。
Now these guys, obviously they do this every day, but look at them. They're barefoot and everything. And in the States, good luck with that. OSHA, safety and all that. And this is just because in Japan, you don't wear shoes inside the house.
We are really happy the way the living room and dining room turned out. Please enjoy the final look of it. It was really important for my wife and I to get the kitchen right. The kitchen is one of those areas where you're going to spend most of your time, so it was very important for us to try to think of all the details that we need in order to create a very functional kitchen. The old kitchen unit was removed, and this provided a lot of room for us to add a new kitchen and an island. My wife has always wanted a large pantry, so here on the left side we added an addition to the house in order to build a large pantry with plenty of outlets. A larger window was also added right above where the sink would be because I really wanted to look outside as I'm cooking. We looked at multiple prefabricated kitchen units that you find at the larger stores. We ended up having a custom kitchen built from a local company in Hiroshima. We made the island as big as we possibly could. The top is stainless steel and 5mm thick, which makes it very functional. We added outlets on both ends as well. The drawers are solid wood and very strong and are capable of holding all of our pots and pans and plates as well. I really love the sink because it is large and deep. Another feature we really enjoy is the touchless faucet in the kitchen. The dishwasher is a typical Japanese dishwasher, which are much smaller compared to those in the US. The stove is also a typical Japanese gas stove with 3 burners. It also features a fish grill. Overall, we are really happy the way the kitchen turned out, and we have been using it for over a year now, and it is very practical and enjoyable to use on a daily basis. Another feature we really wanted was a pantry. In this particular case, we wanted something a little bit different. We wanted to have the electronics inside the pantry unit, such as the rice maker, oven, the small refrigerator, and the toaster. In order to do this, we had to add an addition to the house which protruded into the little carport. We wanted large counter space so that we could accommodate all the additional items that normally go in the kitchen. I really like a subscriber's idea of calling this a kitchen annex instead of a pantry due to its dual functionality. One mistake I believe we made was not putting a vent due to having a toaster or an oven in there. So we ended up adding this fan slash light, which is actually a pretty cool feature, but eventually I believe we're going to go back and add a vent. Another requirement my wife had is to be able to see everything and reach it easily. Since it is only the two of us, we decided to only maintain one large bedroom that could fit a king-size bed, make the tatami room a little bit smaller, and then add a loft right above the tatami room and the bedroom. Quite frankly, the loft is not the most convenient place. We thought it was kind of cool to build it for our granddaughters for when they come and visit. But as we grow older, it's probably just going to become a storage place. But I really like the way he incorporated the loft within the existing framework of the house, kind of giving it a really cool looking floating effect.
There you go. And the loft itself looking pretty cool. All the shikui is complete throughout the house. I'm pretty sure everything is done. I haven't seen any unfinished places yet.
And this here is a little entrance. As I said, it's not the most practical, but it's really cool for kids. They really enjoy going in there and kind of feel like they're in their own little hiding place. Another feature that I really wanted was to be able to see these beautiful beams, especially as I'm just laying there in bed in the morning and looking up and looking at the beams is really gorgeous. Similar to the rest of the house, insulation was added throughout the bedroom, tatami room, and the loft.
Still have some of the writing from the construction, which I don't mind at all. I like it, it gives a character.
And here's the final look of the bedroom. It turned out really nice. We can easily fit a king-size bed and other furniture.
From the very beginning, because this had the false ceiling and everything, you just could not imagine it, right? But I told her I want to be laying in bed, which on around here our heads would be if we positioned the bed this way. I told her I want to be laying in bed and I want to look up at that. That's exactly what I imagined, and sure enough.
Adjacent to our bedroom is a really nice tatami room which was finished by a local tateguya-san. A tateguya-san is basically like an interior finish carpenter that works on shoji doors and the rama. It was really impressive watching him working on it.
Yeah, so I was just talking to him, and he's been doing this for 47 years.
We are really satisfied the way the tatami room turned out. It's a cool feature because it makes the bedroom larger if you want it, but also we can use it as a privacy for like when our granddaughters come and spend some time with us, they can sleep in there as well. My wife also uses the tatami room as a music room. If you know anything about Japanese bathrooms, toilets, you know that they are simply the best, and the Western world can learn a whole lot from the Japanese concept. But one thing we just do not like was having the washer and dryer inside the same sink area. So, therefore, we had an extended laundry room built. In addition to that, we really wanted his and her sinks. Japanese showers in Japan are basically like an enclosed, waterproof capsule, which the shower and the bathtub are all in one same place. It's a really neat concept. If you understand the concept of taking a shower in Japan, this will make more sense to you because in Japan, you must take a shower first and then you get into the bathtub. You do not get into the bathtub without taking a shower. The sink area was outfitted for a double vanity sink, which turned out to be a really nice unit. It turns out that they are not very common in Japan, so we actually had to find it in a catalog. The gentleman that was putting it together said that it looked like a hotel unit. What we were looking for was a unit that was easy to clean and maintain on a daily basis. And these smooth, even surfaces make it very easy to maintain. And let's not forget about the toilets in Japan. The toilets in Japan are simply the best. Folks, trust me when I tell you this. Once you have experienced a heated toilet and all the other features that come along with a toilet in Japan, it is a shock when you use a toilet back in the United States or somewhere else. The units were purchased from Toto and we added two. We put one downstairs and one upstairs in my wife's craft room. This here is the extension to the house, which is the laundry room. We wanted the laundry room to be adjacent to the bathroom in order to make it easier for doing laundry and also hanging inside. Also, we wanted a folding table and also a sink. Over there in the four corner is where the sink would be, just to wash like dirtier stuff like boots and shoes and stuff like that. And then also the folding table. We also wanted a washer that could fit blankets. Additionally, a gas dryer. The electric dryers in Japan do not work very well. However, a gas dryer will dry all your clothes within 30 minutes or less. I highly recommend them. I think one of the coolest places of this house is my wife's crafts room. Originally upstairs, it was two bedrooms, a hallway, two closets, all in one space. What we decided to do was open it all up, add a half bath in one of the closets, and turn it into a big craft room for my wife. We also wanted to tear down the false ceiling and expose all the beams from the original structure. They turned out really, really nice. We also had several beehives in the upstairs, which is actually pretty common with these older houses. Once all the walls were torn down and the false ceiling, it was actually really nice to see the evening light coming in through the large windows. Upstairs, we also added double pane windows, allowing all the light coming in, which is actually really ideal for my wife when she does her crafts. Just as downstairs, insulation was added throughout the roof and under the floors. And this white plaster is the shikui, which is the Japanese traditional plaster. It is said that it is very beneficial for against humidity, CO2, and other toxins in the air. In addition to that, it also provides a really nice contrast against the bare wood. And here you go, folks. This is what her crafts room looks like. And please do me a favor. Please comment below and remind my wife that she is such a lucky woman to have such a great husband like myself. Yeah, sorry. I just could not resist at that stupid joke. Right outside the main house, there is a small guest house which originally kind of had this old style non-flushable toilet. We decided to go ahead and renovate the what we call the casita in Spanish at the same time, but also add a toilet and a shower for guests. In the casita, we maintain the same concept as the main house, such as shikui and the unfinished wood floors and exposing the beams and the double pane windows. I mentioned the total renovation cost. This also included the casita. Here's the extension to the bathroom, which is going to be the toilet and another shower for the little casita, little guest house.
So the casita's coming along too. I start calling the casita de Covian. Let's see, let me go ahead and make it in here real quick, see if it's open. Yeah, there you go. Oh yes, nice how it slides open like that. I can't step in there. But yeah, he's working on the insulation.
Overall, it turned out to be a really nice, cozy little place for guests, and thus far we have had family and friends spend the night, and it's actually pretty nice because they have their own privacy and we have our own in the house. The house also came with a really nice Japanese garden, which quite frankly, when we saw the house for the first time, we really did not realize that was there. You could see the lantern, but it was covered with bushes and weeds, so it was impossible to see. But once we started clearing it up, it exposed the huge, beautiful stones and the original pond. I have great plans for it, so please stay tuned for that.
Removed all these bushes that were right there covering up all these beautiful rocks.
We added spotlights around the original pond area and it looks really nice at night. And for Christmas, I decided to give it a little Western touch by adding Christmas lights around the pond. I thought it was really cool. I really wanted to fill up the pond with water, but I've decided against it. What I am going to do is build several shishi otoshis, which are the bamboo water fountains, and kind of make a waterfall system with the shishi otoshi system, but that's about it. I really don't want to deal with dirty water throughout the year. So in the front of the house, between the Japanese garden, the casita, and the man cave, we have plans for a fire pit. So far, we have enjoyed it, and it's really nice sitting out here in the evening and also admiring the rose garden that slowly is taking shape. This water basin was buried right where I want to plant the rose garden. So I removed it, and it was actually deeper than I than I expected, and I plan on incorporating it in the Japanese garden along with the Shishiodoshi waterfall system I plan on building. Since I have actually not been able to get to the Japanese garden, I welcome your ideas and input, so please comment below and hopefully I can incorporate your ideas into the Japanese garden as I get to it. Here, my plan is to build like a trellis system for climbing roses and different types of roses. And also, what I want to do is plant them around the house. And I was telling my wife the other day that I want to plant lots of roses throughout the property. And I actually came up with a name. I want our house to be known as Bara no Ye, which kind of translates to House of Roses. What do y'all think? Let me know. Our main focus during the renovation was the interior of the house and not necessarily the outside. So on the outside, we just did some basic touch up of shikui, the walls, and painting the trim of the original woodwork. So I really want to keep the house looking like an old Minka style house. However, I think that the huge double pane windows with kind of like the mirror effect makes the house look really nice. The backyard was also a huge undertaking, which, quite frankly, ended up being much more than I expected. So, this is kind of a lesson learned, folks. If you are looking for an IKEA, there are many unknowns, and this is probably an example of it. The kuzu, those vines were taking over the trees, the light poles, and everything. So, it really hid all the issues that we had to deal with, such as a lot of garbage that was buried into this deep pit, foundation from the original house, leftover wood from the original house that was probably torn down like 20 years ago, and many more issues. But eventually it turned out to be a really nice place. Slowly but surely, I'm working on my garden and raised beds. This pile of lumber is from the original house, and just to give you an idea, it cost me probably about $150 to dispose of it at the local recycle center, and it was actually quite heavy due to it being soaking wet from sitting out there for so many years. I'm not a big fan of cold weather, but I actually appreciate it because the grass quits growing and gives me a break for a little while. We hired a local company to clear out the backyard and flatten it out, and he did a really good job removing all the debris. And this here is where we discovered this huge pit full of debris. It must have been at least 6 feet deep. I'm really glad that we discovered it and got rid of this problem. And to give you an idea of the approximate cost, at least for us here locally, it was around $3,000 to clear out the lower backyard, level the upper backyard, and build a little pathway up to the mountainside, and also adding sand on the lower backyard. I think it was really worth it. And thankfully, I was able to ship from the United States a large self-propelled lawnmower, which has helped me a whole lot maintaining the backyard. And on the right side of the house is what we call the mountain. On this side, we have multiple trees such as ganeguri, which is a particular type of chestnuts that this area is very famous for. I also spent a lot of time cutting down a bunch of bushes that have become way overgrown, and the kuzu, the vines, have taken over them, and quite frankly they were a fire hazard to the house, so I decided to cut them all down but left the roots for now for erosion control. But I also have some plans for this side of the house. I want to build like some sort of terrace system in order to make it easier to mow and maintain the side of the house. I spent many hours on my hands and knees pulling out the kuzu from the roots. Folks, if you have this problem, this is really the only way. You don't have to dig out the entire root, but you need to get to the crown, which is basically the base of the plant, and that should take care of it. Property also came along with multiple fruit trees such as kiwi and figs. The property also came along with a really nicely constructed two-car garage. However, it seems like it was not fully finished because it did not have electricity and it did not have garage doors. Little by little, I am organizing, working on the workbench, and I plan on organizing my tools with French cleats. As you can see here, it was very well built. Additionally, the property came with a storage shed, which is well built as well with center blocks. And little by little, I am going to turn this area into what I call my man cave. It will basically be a little tinkering area for small projects and stuff like that. And I think I'm also going to turn it into like an additional guest house, mainly for like guys when they come over and they spend the night and they drink too much. And there's kind of some sort of bunk bed system in there. And folks, lastly, my K truck. I absolutely love my K truck. It's a Subaru Sandbar 1992, 5-speed supercharger 4x4. With this little truck, I was able to accomplish most of this work. I paid a couple $1,000s for this little truck, and it has paid for itself many times over. Folks, if you're going to buy an Akiya in the countryside especially, I highly recommend that you get one.